Family Civility. And I'm so honored and pleased to have Dr. Christine Kozachuk, who is a native of North Carolina, USA, and is an international speaker, an award recipient internationally, an entrepreneur, author, and global advocate for freedom and equality opportunities for females all over the world. As I had her on today, and she said, "Oh, I was doing a class in Kenya." It's quite amazing. Dr. Kozachuk owns multiple successful businesses, RC Mobile Truck Repair Services, for more than 25 years. But most importantly, the Every Girl Wins Institute that helps women rewrite the definition of their lives, and co-hosts the Real Business Women of Charlotte show. She was managing director of eWomen Network and Charlotte chapter for over 2 years. She successfully opened and operated 2 fitness studios, Pink Ice Lady Fitness Center and Fit and Free for Life. She was named an International World Civility Ambassador for her leadership and ability to direct important public issues regarding humanity and the work she does with women and girls globally. Dr. Kozachuk received her honorary doctorate of philosophy and humanities from the United Graduate College and Seminary International, and has served on the board of Home for Me for over 2 years. And Home for Me provides teens and young adults in foster care with guidance, mentoring, and encouragement at the time in their lives when they need it most, which is really the transition times and turbulent times. So amazing work. She's also, her initiative's mission, Every Girl Wins Institute, was approved December 6, 2019 for a nationally proclaimed day on March 13th called International Every Girl Wins Day. On that day, we all stand together for freedom and equal opportunity for all females in the world, no matter their age. Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk Family Civility.
Thank you, Rebecca, so much for having me. Thank you.
So this is amazing. I mean, I don't even know where to begin because you've done so much. But what inspired you? And I know we said it in our conference, but what inspired you to be in this life mission? Because usually our tests turn into testimonies. So what was your inspiration, and why did you go into Every Girl Win, and why that initiative?
Why that initiative is based on my life, and I went into the initiative for every female on the planet, because for me, being my life story, being pregnant at 13, giving birth at 14, married at 14, having 3 more children by the time I was 18 with him, emotionally and physically abused, living in poverty, no education. My highest education was a 6th grade education. And what I knew, through all that is I never wanted a female to ever suffer in the way that I suffered. But I don't call it suffering now, and I used to think it is being suffering, but what I know is it was God's way of putting me through that to do the work that I am doing today for all females of the world.
Amazing. I mean, you've been through it all, like as a woman, and everything happening to us as a woman, because you look at history, and you'll hear me talk a lot about colonialism and how colonialism has affected us. That whole British and French, the European, the 2 cultures of colonialism, women were second-class citizens. They were sold, whether to marriage, whether at a certain age. They were, sorry, I was watching Outlander last night. Women were second-class citizens, and we've had to fight that glass ceiling. And I was doing my sustainable goals, and gender equality, the biggest thing they had was when women are more empowered, men feel less empowered.
Yes.
And that causes domestic violence. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of scenario. How do you counteract that? How do you empower? And that's why I loved Every Girl, because if we're empowered earlier than later, then we will find a man who can accept our empowerment. As I said, I'm turning 45 this year, and it's the first time I've felt so empowered, because I too have been through being told, oh, you're the neck, not the head. oh, you must be subservient to your husband. He's the head of the family. You must do, that's how you must be as a wife. You're a wife before you're a mother. Well, I did it the other way around, but, it's, I was a mother before I was a wife. But, these are the things that we look at. And that's why I loved the fact that you're teaching girls, because it's so hard at our age. Like I say, I need to teach my daughter not to wait till they're 45, not to wait until they've been that daughter, they've been that sister, you've been that mother, you've been that wife, but you're never a woman first.
Right. And you answered the question earlier. And the reason that I say that is I've been asked this question before. And what we as females have to find, and I found an amazing one that I have been, we've been together in September, we'll be 30 years. We will be married 25 years in November. You find a man that values you, that knows your worth as much as he knows your worth, his worth. You know his value as much in his worth. You find a man that knows your worth and your value as much as you know his.
Yeah, amazing. And, again, I'm going to post all these comments that once you come in, please, those are watching, comment, look, this is a group discussion. This isn't just a one person, two people discussion. Please, Elizabeth Curley says, women, who is my co-author, I love her dearly, women have to unlearn our society's patriarchal values in order to move forward.
Yeah.
We must empower our girls by teaching them to recognize and fight against these values right from the beginning.
Absolutely.
And like you said, knowing your worth.
Yes.
As a woman.
And the one thing, my daughter, my husband and I never had children together, and he had no children, and he took it upon himself to help me raise my 3 children. When we met, they were 2, 4, and 5 when we met. And I will tell you, my daughter is so much like him, and he has taught her the value of her. And she has an incredible man that she's married to that values her and knows her worth also. So it comes into the teaching, and not just the teaching, we also have to be an example.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my father and my brother were the 2 people for me that empowered me. But then I had another side of my family that kept putting me down. Like I wasn't doing it their way. I was not, not doing it their way was the wrong way, or and ironically, it was the women in my family that were putting me in my place, not the men.
Oh, okay.
And because they're like, no, this is not who you're supposed to be. And it's like, and so it's again unlearning even things that we teach each other. And you look at my country. My country is number 3 in the world for the most female managers.
Oh, really? Okay.
But we live in an extreme patriarchal society.
Wow. And my belief and what I've seen, it's a cycle that keeps going over and over. And when you were stating that the other side of the family was the criticizing and everything, so what it is, it's a cycle that they have it because it's the limiting beliefs that they have that they need to deal with to get themselves out of that generational cycle.
As Elizabeth says, patriarchy is so dangerous because it actually teaches women to keep other women down.
Yeah.
And that is a perfect example in Jamaica, is that, yes, the women managers are there, but they won't hire you if you're better than them. They won't, they're very like, no, I'm here and I don't want any threat.
Right.
And but when you look above them, they're men. And this is exactly the point, is that patriarchy is very dangerous.
Yes.
Because it is a culture since the very beginning, from caveman, from religion, I mean, look at it, and exactly that, again, a discussion happened with Dr. Rivers and on Dr. Bosinga's Bosing show yesterday, and Civility 360. And they were discussing how religion is man-made, and one of the comments I made was, yeah, because it is based off of power and indoctrination, whereas God is within you. God himself and spirituality is more within you.
Yes.
And so you have to look at what we have learned, and exactly what we say, we have to unlearn. So going to Every Girl Wins Institute, because this is now a source for people watching, who have girls, who don't know what to do, who are around the world watching, because how can they, if they wanted to contact Every Girl Wins Institute, what services could they get?
The services they get was, first of all, I want to go back to what you're stating is one of the missions with Every Girl Wins is how to rewrite the definition of your life.
Wow.
So, we have to rewrite the definition of our life. And with Every Girl Wins, what you're going to get with you is you're going to get a life literacy program.
Yes.
And with the life literacy program, you're going to get, the educational part, the economical part, the entrepreneurial part. You're going to get the life skills part of knowing who you are and getting past those limiting beliefs. Because you got to get past those limiting beliefs in order to rewrite that definition.
Wow. And this is something, how long is this course?
It ranges anywhere between 3 to 6 months. It depends on how many classes we have every week. If we do 6 months, it can, it's once a week. But if we do 3 months, it's twice a week.
Wow. And how do they contact you?
They can go to the everygirlwins.com. There's information there that my email is on there, and also the phone number that you can call and get more information there.
Wow. And let's go back. So going back to, and this is based off of your life and having a daughter and how you went around doing this. And, you also talk about transition, the board that you are on. Let's talk about that. That's really the home for me.
Yes.
That does transitioning and helps teens in foster care, because you're very passionate about foster care. And funny enough, in our book, Family Out of Many Families, One Nation, we promote foster parents and ask that governments and communities treat them as a real family. And not as, they're foster family. And one of our biggest things is not letting children feel bad, not show albinism to a non-nuclear family. So we have albinism towards the disabled, and that's a big thing. And it's all about, you're treating somebody with a disability as inferior. However, we're also doing that to children who do not have a nuclear family.
Right.
So our biggest initiative is to say, no, you don't let a child feel bad that they have a foster parent, because that parent has chosen them.
Yeah, exactly. And for me with foster care, I was never in the foster care system, but I was kind of, I have went through what they have at their ages, because foster care children, being in, elementary, middle school, high school, teenage years, and things like that. Those foster care kids, they went through so much traumatic, physical, emotional abuse. That's what I went through. And, for me, a lot of people don't realize is I was a child bride at 14, being, pregnant, but I didn't go through the system. But this is why I'm so passionate about helping foster care kids to succeed, because I've also been where they have been.
I'm now looking at the ACEs model, which is the assessment for child trauma. And, I came from a nuclear family, and I scored 5. I scored over 4. And I came from a secure setting of a family. My kids scored a little higher because now I'm divorced and went through a lot more than what I went through. But childhood trauma is based off, and we were discussing it earlier, about perception and not belittling people's perception on everything. What you say is not always how it's heard.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a big thing that we talk on in my first book, The Communication is a Family Game. I think that's the theme.
I love that. Communication is so true. Love
That's
it.
my book on Amazon. And that's the theme. It's like get to know your child and their perception. So when you speak to them, you know how they're hearing it.
Right. Yes.
Right. And then being vulnerable as well to your child to say, when you speak to me, this is how I hear it.
Yes, absolutely. And, Rebecca, I also think what it comes down to a lot, and I used to promote this a lot in my fitness center when I had my fitness center open, is really getting, and it's kind of what this coronavirus is doing to us right now, is really bringing us to our family values. And, just sitting at the dinner table and really eating and really listening about the day and listening. And that's one thing I say, we need to listen. Not only listen with our ears, we also need to listen with our heart and our intuition.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you're sitting there listening and you're listening with your ears, your intuition about your child that's sitting at the table could be telling you something and you need to read between the lines.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm an empath.
Yes, me too.
And I think most of us as civility ambassadors are empaths.
Yeah.
I think it's a requirement.
I'm an introvert and an empath for sure.
And so many times I will say to somebody or a friend or something, I'm like, you're telling me this, but I'm not feeling it.
Yes.
And it confuses us empaths. And, it took, before I realized I was an empath, and before I read the book on how to be an empath and empower myself as an empath, I was like, what you're saying and I'm not feeling it. And then I would get confused and then I would doubt myself. And I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm going crazy. With this person because I'm like, no. You tell me you love me, but I'm not feeling it.
Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, you are so me. When I figured out that I was an empath, I was like, I'm an empath, and it's just, you suck all that up, that energy, that emotions, that you just know them and you're just, you just get on their level.
Yeah.
You get on their level of emotions.
Yeah. Oh, no, and empaths are known, and in a derogatory sense, they're told you're too sensitive.
Yes, I don't think so.
And I'm like, you're welcome. Thank goodness I'm sensitive because I can dig deeper, and it goes to a point where I say to people, I say, no, I know something's wrong, so just tell me.
Yes, and see, the thing is too, my husband is an empath.
Oh, how does that work in your house?
You know what? It actually works pretty good because we can read upon each other, especially when we're around people, and we can feel that, and the intuition, we can feel that, and so we kind of feed off each other.
My youngest is my empath.
Yes,
and one of the reasons I got the book was to help him. Because he's struggling with it in the sense of it can be tiring, it can be but
exhausting.
Oh, tell me about it. And then you have energy vampires around you.
And yes, that's what I'm saying. Exhausting.
Where they suck your energy.
Yeah, you're speaking my talk right now.
And this is the thing about, I think that's one of the reasons why the book just came out of me, because with all of this knowledge and feelings and everything, it was like the whole family civility initiative came out based off of your blood family does not have to be your family.
Absolutely.
Because there are people in your blood family that, and I come up to in a culture where, respect and family was demanded.
Right. Exactly.
And not earned. And being the youngest, I was the bottom of the pecking order.
Okay.
And what happened was that I realized, no, this cannot be family. Whereas I had my best friend who was more a sister to me than my own sister.
Yes.
I had people who had my sister-in-laws and my brothers. I was like, man, they at least married good people. What I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my brother. And, it's those type of things. And that's where the whole definition, and people say to me, but family civility, you're supposed to be civil to your family. I'm like, no.
Doesn't have to be blood.
No. Family civility are the people you choose as your primary group.
Yes.
Who love, support, and are civil to you.
Yes.
That is the definition of family in family civility. It has nothing to do with blood.
Rebecca, about, I'd say 10 years ago, I was at this conference and I was sharing a room with a lady that I had not shared a room with, but we were mutual friends, we were friends through a mutual friend. Well, you get it. Yeah. We were sharing a room and she said that, and it dawned on me, she is so right. You don't have to be blood to be family.
No.
You don't, because of the struggles that I've had with mine, my family, not my immediate family, but, my parents, my father and all that. So I realized that, that they didn't. On that day when she told me that, it just clicked. I was like, she is so right. They don't have to be blood to be my family.
So that's what family. So the definition of family in family civility is your primary group that loves, supports, and is civil to you.
Love that. Love it.
And that is literally the first line of the book.
I love that. Love it.
and this is what I love about all your initiatives is, the factor of when you're teaching a class, I'm sure some of the girls in your class become family.
Yes.
To each other.
Yes.
And they start, and as Elizabeth said early, they kind of unlearn how to not keep each other down.
Yes, because in my class, we do a lot of sharing. And what happens in my class is when it very first starts out, when we start, we literally go to the bottom, figuring out what your limiting beliefs are, and we go upwards. And we do a lot of sharing, a lot of story sharing, what's causing those limiting beliefs. So that sharing brings those girls and those women together, because when they're seeing each other, and of course we have those women that don't, because they don't want other women to know what's going on in their lives. But what they don't realize is what their story can help someone else. And their stories and the first part is kind of your limited beliefs about your stories. These women, they look at each other and realize that we have the same issues. Why was I hiding this whole time? So it's very powerful to watch.
So you actually do a lot of unlearning.
I do.
A lot of unlearning.
At first, you're absolutely right. At first, I do a lot of unlearning, and then we go upwards.
It's amazing. I think what you're doing is fantastic. How many years? I saw all your awards from 2010 and stuff. How many years have you been doing this? And what was that spark that said, I need to do this? Like, you had your gyms and you were an entrepreneur from day one. But what sparked you to be that person for those women and watching now, and those mothers watching now? How do they make their passion into that transition to say, you know what, I need to do this as a living?
Well, first of all, I've kind of known it my whole entire life. I knew that intuition inside me, that what I wanted in my whole entire life, because I didn't want women to suffer in the way I had suffered. I have built several businesses, and I still own several businesses, but I knew that I had done that, but I couldn't recognize it for myself. And until I personally took a personal growth class back in 2016.
So it was recent.
Yes, this is
that same thing, that 40, why do we wait till we're 40?
Yes, this is very, very, very recent. Yeah. So when I stepped down in 2017 from eWoman Network, I stepped down, but I knew that there was something that, I wanted to still work with women. I wanted to work with them, but I've worked with women in the business entrepreneur part always, but not the personal growth. But I knew the personal growth and the business part had to go hand in hand. So I had met in 2017 through a friend. I had met Dr. West, and he kind of helped me, the speaking part, because if I was the type of person, I would, I'm not getting up there. You're not going. I'm that person way back in that room. Don't see me. I don't want to speak. No, nothing. But I knew in order for me to speak to females around the world, I had to get away from that fear of speaking. So I hired him. Well, that was 2017. Fast forward to 2018 was when I met Dr. Rivers. So October 2018, I met Dr. Rivers, and I still knew what I wanted to do, but I just didn't know how to put it in play, how to really put this initiative mission together. So I met him in October. November, about 10, I think there's 10, 11 delegates, we all went to Guyana. Yes. So we all went to Guyana. We spoke to about 13 different schools and, 13 different places. We spoke to females and, young men, all over, Georgetown, Guyana. Dr. Rivers and I was sitting there in the lobby and just talking about it. He says, every girl wins. And I'm like, that is it.
Yeah.
Every girl wins. That's how that came up. The name came about. Every Girl Wins Institute came about. I hired him a month later, and it's just grown since then. Yeah. I mean, he has helped me put it, my story, what I've been through to help females of the world. So that's what I
say about Dr. Rivers. He sees the light in you and then ignites it.
Yes. Exactly.
I said it on the front, like Dr. Ornelas, and I said, he was talking about Dr. Rivers. I said, no, that man sees your light and then ignites it. And
yes.
you're like, whoa.
Yes, you can sit there and struggle all day long, and you can have a coaching call with him. You're like,
done.
Okay, I got this. I got it. But yeah, it just started. Yeah. It just started in actually November 2018.
Wow.
Yes, wow. And it has exploded. We now have an International Every Girl Wednesday, which is.
And I have a National Family Civility Day. Mine is November 6th. Mine is November 15th.
15th, okay.
And yours is March 16th.
No, mine's March the 13th. It's 13th. Actually, I gave March the 13th is actually my granddaughter's birthday.
Oh. That is beautiful. Yeah. It's so funny you mention that, because National Family Civility Day, I chose November 15th because all my children are born in November. So it's the only weekend that I don't have a birthday. And it's Parents Month in Jamaica.
Wow. So you have all November babies, and majority of mine are all December babies.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
My daughter is actually born on Christmas Day, and my youngest son is actually 2 days before Christmas. So you know what Christmas is like for us here. It's a family celebration.
Yeah, my daughter is the 11th, my son is the 25th, and my other son is the 30th. And it was so funny because what did you do on Mother's Day? My Mother's Day was, I was telling their birth stories.
Now, my husband was serving me like breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yes, I was, it's funny because this year they didn't join up. They all did individual things.
Wow.
So my eldest son, and I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers listening. Yeah. I meant to do it in the beginning. It's like, it's a new week done. But Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, and Happy Mother's Day to you too. I mean, we can celebrate all week.
Yes.
I think we celebrate all day, every day. But, you're right. It's like, my kids, my son and his girlfriend sent me a beautiful bouquet of flowers. Mm-hmm. And we ended up coming to their house because he's fixing my car today. So I drove 4 hours to go get my car fixed.
Oh, wow.
And then my daughter got me a dozen white roses with my favorite chocolate. Mm-hmm. And I was like, And
Oh,
then my son made me breakfast and coffee in bed, which to me, like every week, every year, I get breakfast in bed, which is like the highlight of my life.
oh, that's so sweet.
It was, and then yeah, and then my daughter, my future daughter-in-law, I don't know what else to call her.
I have one
I
of
love
those.
her that much. Pardon?
I have one of those too.
Yes. Yeah, we had a few bottles of wine together in the evening, so it was a really good day.
That's the great part. My son actually, my youngest son, he got me a wine glass. It says, "This is from your favorite child."
Yeah, mine would give me that.
Yeah, he said, "This is from your favorite child." I text him, I said, "Who's my favorite child?"
My father used to say the most beautiful saying. He used to say, "I love you all the same, but I like you differently."
Yes, it's not true.
But it's true. Like I love my three children exactly the same, but I
So
have different connections with them.
And it's the same when you have grandchildren. It's going to be the exact same because with even your you love them, and it's a different love that you have
Yeah.
for your children, but you love them in a different way. It's just like your kids. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. They're amazing. They're
Yeah.
amazing.
It's so funny. I haven't reached that point yet in life.
Well, and when it starts, it won't stop.
No, I mean, that's the thing. I think, the whole, this initiative and our initiative, I was so excited to speak with you today because, I go back to it. Women, no matter what, are the nucleus of a family.
Mm-hmm.
And we are the heartbeat. I always say to my moms when I'm working with mothers especially, I say, if your cup is empty, how can you feed your children from it?
Yes, absolutely.
But we constantly are feeding our children from empty cups.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that I've had to fill, and this is where your Every Girl Wins initiative is so important, because if you have an empowered girl who becomes an empowered woman who then becomes an empowered mother, then you will have an empowered generation.
Absolutely.
Because we will not only empower our daughters, we'll empower our sons.
Yes.
And it's so funny. I'm going to read something. I wrote it in 2018. I was doing thankfulness exercises, and I wrote what I love about my children. And I wrote about my eldest son. I'm grateful to see how you respect and love women.
Oh.
And I wrote about my daughter. Funny enough, I'm grateful for your spirit and who you are becoming. I'm grateful for your talents in art, baking, and imagination. I'm grateful for your love. I'm grateful for your kindness to everyone. I'm grateful that you get things done. And then for my little one, who's not little anymore, he's 5'10". I'm grateful for your drive and determination to succeed. I'm grateful for your love and affection and for your spirit and how he makes me laugh. Each one was so, for my eldest son, how he protects his brother and sister, how his drive to be successful and to watch his athletic ability. And I'm grateful for the man he has become.
Now, you have two boys and a girl?
Yep, I do.
Yeah, me too. My girl's the middle.
Same to me.
My girl's the middle child. But it's funny how you're stating how you wrote letters to them. So last year I had a book, and this had been on my mind since 2013 when my grandmother had passed, which actually raised me. And I said, when she passes, like, I wish I could said I love you more. Things. So I wrote a book called Letters of Love, Dear Loved Ones. And it's authors that put together, and it's volume 1. I'm going to do like a volume 2 and on and on. But this book, it's a letter that I wrote to my grandmother that raised me. And then I wrote one to my biological mother. And then I wrote one to my daughter and my granddaughter.
Wow.
But in this book, I had other authors in this book that also wrote letters to the females in their lives,
Wow.
and just kind of saying, how they feel, and how they feel about them and things like that. And that's something that I know that we need to get more, down to doing.
Yeah.
And I had a gentleman that's a friend of mine that he said, Christine, you inspired me. And this book came out February of last year. So he said for Mother's Day, the gift that he gave his mother, he actually wrote a letter to his mother on Mother's Day.
Wow.
That was
That's
his gift
we
to his
do
mother.
for our kids for Child's Month, which is May. In
Uh-huh.
Jamaica, all the teachers ask the parents to write letters to their children. So this is
Yeah,
something I do every year, and I give
I
them.
love it.
And I don't know if you've done this, but my last birthday,
Right.
my 44th birthday, I did a rebirth day.
Oh, rebirthday.
I did a
Okay.
rebirth day.
Tell me about that.
So what I did was, and it really was, I just migrated to Canada. It was like almost a year that I had migrated. I'd started over, what was it, my third time in 7 years starting over. It was like just a lot. And so I wrote a letter to myself and I mailed
Hmm.
it. I'm dying to read it. I'm not opening the letter until July 3rd this year.
Okay.
But I remember certain things I've written in it and they've actually come true, which is like,
Wow.
wow. I did a burning ceremony
Okay.
in smudging where I let go a lot of things. It was a rebirth. I had to let go of
Yeah.
a lot. And I wrote the letter to myself and I did lanterns, but I wrote my year's wishes on the lanterns and I
Ah,
set them up in the air. And I did it with my kids. And it was just, like I said, a very personal rebirth day, knowing I was going to be
wow.
45.
That's powerful.
And it really has been this year a complete, I mean, I, I got my doctorate as well this year in December in the mail. It was like a Christmas present. And it's
Wow.
something I've always dreamed of. I've always wanted to be Dr. Rebecca
Right.
Finlayson Harv. And I purposely put my maiden name because Finlayson is my maiden name, and we haven't had a doctor in the
Right.
family. So I'm the
Mhm.
first doctor to be Dr. Finlayson.
Right.
And so these are the things that I did in my rebirth day.
I
So
love it.
I,
Love it.
please use it if you want on every girl. I mean, it's almost doing
Yes,
that.
I absolutely. I love that. It's kind of like a vision board, kind of similar, but not as a vision board, because what you're putting in there, you're really going after it.
Yeah, my ceremony.
And
It was a ceremony.
the ceremony, yes. And I love the one where you said you
I did
burnt
my
the
smudging. I mean,
you burnt.
living in Canada and learning so
Uh,
much about Indigenous people, I
yes.
respect that culture with all my heart. In
Mhm.
fact, I thank them, the Indigenous
Right.
people, for the culture they have, and I wish we should have adopted it a lot more. And again, I get very angry with colonization. I'm trying to calm myself down, because so many Indigenous cultures have been buried.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
when you look at where the world is going now with togetherness, civility,
Mhm.
respecting women, respecting each other, living in a community versus a world, the globalization, it's going back to the indigenous cultures and teachings.
Mhm. Mhm.
The
Yeah.
whole thing about meditation, the whole thing about spirituality, it's going back into indigenous cultures. And it's more than, I adopted the tradition, but I also showed respect of where I learned it from.
Yes, and for Evergirl Wins, all throughout the curriculums that I have, I do a lot of the visual meditation, a
Mm,
lot going through that. And the reason I do the visual meditation is because you have to visualize where you're going.
yes.
But with visualization. And
Mhm.
I believe, like you believe, is that the meditation, and And when you was talking about the burning thing, that brought me back to that personal training, the personal growth that I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
On the last weekend that we had, had gotten together, that was one of the things that we did. We wrote it on there and we threw it into the pit, the fire pits. We
Yeah.
just
I love fire too, so it's like
yes.
I love making fires.
I
I love sitting around them with a glass of wine too.
Yeah.
Or back home with rum. But
yes, Jamaican rum.
Oh yeah. You see, so one of the invitations on November 13th to 15th, we're actually having our Family Civility Conference in Jamaica, in Kingston, Jamaica.
Okay.
We are officially inviting you to come and speak. It will be at my old stomping ground at the Hope Zoo.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that actually. And I would really, here is an official invitation. We are going to start registration for the Family Civility Conference based off of COVID. We're just waiting for that. But FamilyCivilityDay.com is the website, and we can start going on regarding registration very soon once I can actually have it physically.
Yeah. and it's and I have to tell you this, my husband's birthday is November the 12th, and it's the day that we got married, November the 12th. So it could be another honeymoon in Jamaica. Jamaica is our favorite place.
I got you. Don't worry. I have you. I know exactly where
we've actually visited Jamaica 3 times in the grill. We love Jamaica. We love it.
Well, ironically, I grew up in Treasure Beach, which is very close. It's on the south.
Okay.
And definitely we can link you up.
Yes.
So you can come. You'll celebrate on the 12th, but you have to come in on the 13th.
Absolutely.
For the conference, and we'll have a gala awards dinner where we will be honoring awardees for World Family Civility.
Wow. Powerful.
Have actually done a universal design or created a universal design of family, which is exactly that, acknowledging there isn't just nuclear family.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you're going back to your country to do that.
I have to do my first conference back home.
I love the fact that you're doing that. I think that's just that's so powerful. I mean, so powerful.
I mean, we'll do it in different countries, and we'll ask people to host it all over the world, but the first one has to be where I was born.
I love that. I mean, I do. I love it. So I do accept it. I accept your invitation.
So we have a question: what universal design is, and how is it defined? And universal design is actually, I kind of adapted it because it's mainly buildings, products, or environments that that are accessible to all people, regardless of age, disability, or other factors. And I kind of adapted it because universal design of family is a family that's accessible to all people, despite having a disability, despite whether being a certain gender, LGBTQ, because we have a lot of children that are excommunicated from their families because of their sexuality.
Right.
We have, unfortunately, a lot of families that are not aware of how to deal with their children with disabilities and how to advocate for them, and therefore some of them, I mean, we have to not deny that there's some countries in the world that, because they're not aware of what happens to their children or what is happening to their children, they hide them in a room.
Yeah.
And they don't realize how to develop them. Or they learn, the doctors don't have that information that's up to date, and they do the wrong things instead of the right things. So a universal design of a family is actually a family it's a family that accepts and is accessible no matter where your age, your disability, your sexuality, and the fact that you don't have to be blood.
I love that. So I love the definition of that.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank you for being on the show. I mean,
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. And you're doing amazing work. Keep doing what you're doing, and keep lighting up the world with your your smile. You have the contagious smile, by the way. And,
I inherited it from my father.
and keep bringing these families together.
Thank you very, and same. I mean, Dr. Christine, you're doing. I'm emulating you. I mean, from day one when Dr. River said you have to go, to Every Girl's Win. You have to look at what she's doing, and I have been following you, and that's why I had to have you on as the first ambassador to come on, because what you're doing is so inspiring. It is a lovely program, and not just for girls, but what you're doing for foster children and that whole world of foster care. That it's not albinism. You're empowering the kids as kids, not foster kids.
Right. Yeah.
No, I'm not doing this because you're a foster kid. I'm doing it because you need an opportunity and you need help. And I want to admire that with you, is that you are, that's what the universal design is.
Yeah, thank you.
That's what family civility is. So thank you so much for accepting the invitation to come in November.
Yes, I'm excited. I can't wait to tell my husband now where we're going on our second honeymoon.
And I look forward to speaking with you again. Keep up the amazing work. This is Let's Talk Family Civility with Dr. Christine Kozachuk. Did I say it right?
Excellent.
Kozachuk, and I'm Dr. Rebecca Finlayson Harper. Next week we will have Dr. Akama from Kenya, and we're so excited, and we look forward to Let's Talk Family Civility next week. Thank you so much for being on the show, and have a great week, families.
Thank you.